What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here in the Oddshopper channel, coming to you with a Monday edition of MLB Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell goes a long way for me on this video, goes a long way for you. That way you become apprised whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. It's kind of a lackluster weekend, Friday, Saturday. Meh. I thought we were going to smash on Saturday. Boston comes out of the gate hot, end up smacking there. And then just bad break. And you know what? That happens from time to time in betting. You got to roll with the punches, and, you know, you get breaks that go your way, which, I don't know, has kind of happened for like 2+ months for me in the MLB streets. It was time for a little payback there, but just a little bit of a down day on Saturday. And then Sunday was a smash with 4 home run plays there in the Tigers, all 4 being Tigers. 2 of them end up hitting. That ends up being very nifty profit. Riley Green, shout out a GOAT. Spencer Torkelson, shout out another GOAT. And now they're going to be in Sacramento. Oh boy. I'm nervous about some of the pricing, but we'll talk about the ins and outs of that one because I do think there's still going to be some value available to us there. I got 3 plays on the card on this 13-game MLB slate. The leans were on fire on Friday. I wish I had played more of the leans. Again, I'm putting time and energy into all of those things. The leans are not yet plays. Sometimes they turn into plays. That does happen from time to time. And I would say, you know, in the home run department, talked about it. Thought that there were some very interesting plays where I was perceiving those prices the night before. And Brandon Lau, of course, on Friday, goes yard for this program. So we're coming off of some good momentum from the last few weeks, last few months, really. I want to keep it riding. I want to keep it rolling. I guess rocking and rolling, that'd be the more applicable thing to say. But this is what I'll say now. 50% off using promo code TailsLindy. We're going to be running this up until the start of the NFL season, and then it will be full price here going forward. We're going to have some really cool stuff coming up for the NFL. I'm going to have some great content over on X at Eric Lindquist if you guys want to follow me there, as well as on the Stochastic and Oddshopper YouTube channels. So check them both out. If you haven't checked out Stochastic, it's going to be more on the fantasy side of things, specifically daily fantasy sports. Would love to see you guys over there, especially Sundays, for our main slate walk-up. I mean, that's going to be awesome. NFL Live Before Lock is what it's called. Would love to see you there. But Tails, that is where we are right now, the Oddshopper YouTube channel. Tails.bet/Lindy. If you guys want to check it out, awesome. Tails.bet, if you guys go there, go to the expert picks page and check out some freebies that are existing there. Plus, you want to put your hat into the ring? There's a link down below in the video description box. That's 2 links down. You guys can check it out. Tons of great stuff going. Be like Lindy. Join Tails today. Alrighty, y'all. Let's get to it. The leans. Let's begin. Oop. Almost got somewhat close to getting my whole face in there. We've got things. Oh, we've got the wrong leans to start off. Well done, Eric. Producer Lindy. Good job. You dipshit. Anthony and Duran home runs here. You should just know when Sagano's on the mound, I'm going to have tons of interest in targeting him here with some of the lefties. One of the bigger expected ISOs you will see for any starting pitcher out there, Tamayuki Sagano, giving up tons of lefty power, and this ballpark is fantastic for lefty power. It's not that books don't know that, but I've been a little surprised. Roman Anthony leading off, Jared Duran higher up there, usually like second, third in the order when you have a righty on the mound. I really don't think that these numbers have been correct for them, looking at some of their last few against righties. Now, some of it was like Will Warren, some of that, some decent starters in recent weeks. But yeah, I disagree with some of the opening numbers, just like low and low home run. Get it low like an 18-wheeler. It's really good stuff to be looking at Brandon and Josh here. One's, I guess, low and one is Lau. So Brandon Lau is the one who's the priority ad Friday. He is goated for all of his goodness. Ian Seymour is not going to probably be in a great spot, although he's got some pretty good stuff. And Tanner Bybee on the other side, he's just being Bybee. Yeah, he's a right-handed pitcher, and these are lefties that we are talking about, and both of them in Progressive Field, which is another great ballpark for lefty power. It's not comparable to Steinbrenner Field in terms of Steinbrenner Field's been a cavern, or not a cavern, the opposite of a cavern. It's been a short porch season for everybody involved. Just look what the Yankees did against Shane Baz and company. But I do think this is a pretty decent spot here where I'm seeing some break-even numbers. I'd almost be surprised if Brandon Lau, Josh Lowe, one of the two, didn't end up on the card for tomorrow. Again, just giving you the explanation of some of the leans. Yankees, -1.5. I really, really, really dislike having to go to the run line in these kind of spots where I don't love the long ball profile of one Schlittler. That's going to be the guy, Cam Schlittler, who's going to be out on the mound for them, and sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe schlit. That was a good one. Taking on Brad Lord, he has been the lord of not much, like a little tiny county in Scotland, maybe. I don't know. Brad Lord. Don't ask me. I don't know where my brain is. It's actually thinking about fantasy football. I think we all are. We got a lot of drafts this week. It is time to go. It is time to go. My favorite targets, by the way, Devontae Chan's going to be just fine. Tua can stay healthy. That would be lovely to see. Tons of fantasy football stuff that we're going to be breaking down here as we lead into the NFL season over on the Stochastic YouTube channel and here on the Odd Shopper YouTube channel. I'm sure I'm going to have some content coming out shortly. We got the Twinkies, my Twins taking on the Toronto Blue Jays, and I really thought this would end up a play, but somehow, some way, I'm not on Joe Ryan and Max Scherzer. Now, Joe Ryan, he's going to continue to be limited to some capacity. I've also been targeting him more and more. I don't think people talk enough about an 11% barrel percentage. It's like 1 out of every 9 guys getting up there putting a ball in play. It's coming off the barrel. It's not good when the guys who are traditionally good at making contact are the better hitters, unless they're like slappers like Chandler Simpson, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. You know the ones. Jake Mangum, the Rays, those type of humans. But Max Scherzer's doing just enough. And these Twins, anytime they get down like 5-6, guess what they do? They rip Byron Buxton off the field like they did for James Outman today. Thank God I didn't end up on that. Anyway, we've got ourselves Sanchez, 18 and a half outs. This is just like a staple whenever he's out on the mound. Now, you got the Metsies. This is obviously a huge divisional thing that we got going up here. And Kadai Senga Genesis has cashed us some nice tickets recently. Hey, nice to be back and seeing numbers that I want to back on Senga now that he's back into a full workload, as opposed to targeting him, which has kind of been the preferred way of doing things all season long. Arizona, Milwaukee, -1.5, -1, either capacity. I prefer the -1 purely because Erod is now going to have to be facing up against Brandon Woodruff. Now, Milwaukee's happy to rip Woodruff off the field, even in 4 or 5 innings here of clean baseball, 70 or 80 pitches. I still think there's enough now Milwaukee's been able to kind of like stand pat with their relievers. I mean, this Rodriguez fellow is just driving me absolutely nuts. Not Erod, the one that Milwaukee has out of the pen, but I'm watching a lot of Milwaukee baseball, and -1, it's not grading out enough for me to fire it up here. You probably already saw this one, but Johan Oviedo, does he have revenge in his heart? There's not a lot that Pittsburgh has to play for. There's not a lot that St. Louis and in NL Central that's going berserk with the Cubbies and the Milwaukee Brewers, that they have a lot to play for, but they get to play each other here. And this is going to be at least entertaining for Johan Oviedo, who is returning to the spot where he was mainly the bullpen arm. And I'm not in love with this spot for him by any means against the Cardinals, but we've seen Brendan Donovan out of these lineups, and Alec Burleson's been dinged up, although he ended up back in that lineup today against Tampa. I thought it was super trappy to be going up and trying to bet against, anything that had to do with Ryan Pepio in that spot. He only has 3 strikeouts, 63 pitches, but Tampa Bay, they're analytically forward. They love to turn it over to bullpen arms, play the platoon game, and yeah, Pittsburgh can't really do that. St. Louis can't really do that. Pretty decrepit in that regard. Angels taking on the Texas Rangers here, Texas -1. I just don't like this game. I don't like this ballpark. Jose Siriano, it's so much ground ball contact. Then you've got catchers here who have slow pop-up times. Jacob deGrom, he's been pretty darn good, but the strikeouts have been here and there. 27.3% is still pretty darn good on the year. And yet it seems like any time that I've actually had him like, hey, this is getting close to being graded out pretty nicely, he's going to be inflated like crazy for today. In fact, I have his strikeout stuff pulled up here in a tab, mainly because I'm just kind of keeping a very close eye on it to see kind of where it's going to land. I think he's going to have like a 7.5 number -110 both ways, and there's just no way I can get close to that. So it's basically Texas -1 or pass, and I don't really want to do that against Soriano, who does have some strikeout upside himself at times, and obviously gets tons of ground balls. JP Sears over 2.5 earned runs. Yeah, Seattle just goes ballistic. You get Cal Raleigh back into the program here on Sunday. They just wax the floor there with Oakland. And Jacob Lopez, 4 kids, and I got to take all that ass to showbiz you do now that you got murdered. But anyway, JP Sears, this is a ballpark that if this got up to 3.5, you just stay far away and never come close. But mean, Sears couldn't even be on the San Diego team if it weren't for injuries at times. They sent him down to AAA after his first start with San Diego. They're obviously not a fan. I'm also not a fan of trying to pick on Bryce Miller here because the numbers are going to be inflated on that side of things. He's terrible, horrible, no good, very bad. Yeah, this is probably going to be like looking at Julio Rodriguez, Randy Arozarena, things of that nature, and just moving along with my life from a prop perspective. And speaking of props, Freddie Freeman, he's been free money over the weekend in the home run department. It's another 2 of them on Sunday. Wild stuff. Hey, shout out Dalton Rushing for kind of joining the program there. It was a really electric ballpark there in Petco today. It's fun to watch that one, but obviously not fun if you're a Padres fan. But NL West, it's getting very tight. Going to be very, very fun. And you've got Hunter Green, LA's finest Hunter Green. He's from LA originally. But this is such a difficult spot coming back to his old hometown and having to take on this Dodger team that Ohtani, Freeman, Dalton Rushing apparently can hit now too, which is cool to see. He's almost hitting 200. Whoop-de-doo, so what does it all mean? Although he will not be catched. It'll be Will Smith tomorrow. But just saying, Michael Conforto, maybe. He should have gone out and got Rowdy Tellez. It's like a DH type dude. But I guess Ohtani has to DH for you every day. He's never going to play the field now that he's pitching. Weird stuff. But anyway, Freeman home run, just paying attention to it, just like you should be paying attention to 50% off. Let's just get to the play, shall we? Yeah, it's time to start talking some real baseball here, and I'm having some issues with my graphic stuff, but that's okay. Also shaking my table like crazy. Wild times. Atlanta taking on Miami. We've got 3 plays for you, and technically it's 5 plays. 3 games that we're going to cover, 5 plays. Ooh, what do I mean? Well, let's start with the one that's singular. There's 1 play from this one. Spencer Strider, somebody that we ended up on the over of his 1.5 earned runs, along with Paul Skeens over 1.5 earned runs, and both of them cashed instantly for us last week on Monday. That was a fun parlay, fun way to get the week rocking. But Paul Skeens pitched Sunday. Now we got Strider here on Monday. I'm not going to go crazy here taking like shots against Strider in terms of like, 2.5 earned runs. Now that it's going to be it's just decreased. The buy-in number is far, far higher than what it was last week, when people are just kind of slow to recognize that this is not your parents. My parents, Spencer Strider. This is not the same guy. You come off of getting Tommy John. You come off of everything else. Spencer Strider's not going to be the same dude going forward. We're seeing velo down, strikeouts down. He has upside still at times, but this is one of those pesky teams with a lot of AAA guys. And, Jacob Marcy, who the book is still out on, Maximo Acosta, who's kind of been interesting, but Augustin, Save Some for Later, Ramirez, Eric Wagaman, Otto Lopez, 4 kids that I got to take all of that ass to showbiz. Cool, I got to do that twice in one show. I really like the idea of taking a shot on the Miami money line here, backing one Edward Cabrera. Now, he does give up some hard contact, but 11% barrel percentage for Strider, 7.7% for Cabrera. I think there's a world where, 4-3, 5-3 works out in your favor here against Miami, and they're the ones coming in with plus money, which I don't agree with. Miami, money line, plus 108. We move along like I know you do. Shout out the All-American Rejects. Didn't see that one coming in my brain, but I saw this one coming. This was the first game that I ended up breaking down. I've been on a lot of Kansas City overs recently. I've also been on a lot of Mets overs, been on a lot of Nationals overs, lots of Phillies overs. Now, the Phillies, Metsies, we're not going to be doing the Sanchez thing. We're not going to go out of our way to pick on him, but I've been properly picking on some bullpens that I don't really find to be all that interesting. The Phillies being one of those. When Duran is out, when Duran gets back, that's a completely different conversation because, there will be no live betting opportunities late in those ones, Odenkirk and those other dudes have to deal with it. But Kansas City on the run line, we're going to stay away from that. Looks pretty efficient. This White Sox team, talked about it religiously. I really like the construction of this lineup. I think they are so much more improved. And Edward Cuero, whether he's in the lineup or not, Brooks Baldwin, whether he's in the lineup or not, those are nice additions. You've got a sturdy top 5 with Colson Montgomery in the back half of that. Luis Robert, who's now trying again. Kyle Teal, who's been batting third routinely now. Lennon Sosa, he's been awesome. And then Mike Tauchman, who's, take it or leave it, 334 xWOBA, still pretty decent in an xWOBA. Kind of one of those things I really like to hinge on when I'm doing my own simulations. But let's simulate this. I have a quarter unit on 2 specific plays here. One is the over of 8.5 as a game total, where I do think there's a world where Kansas City, if they end up pushing the limit to get to 5, I think the other side comes along with it. You get 9 full at bats. I don't love the Kansas City bullpen. They got stretched out and utilized on Sunday against Detroit in a game that just completely shot out. I was more on the Detroit prop side, although Vinny Pasquantino from a pick'em perspective was nice. Too bad couldn't convert all of the pieces there. But Kansas City team total, I like that. 0.28 units, 0.25 there on over 8.5. Those are both in the Discord already. Let's round this out and finish our program with, I find this to be the most interesting, fascinating game on the entire slate. Now, I did a lot of looking into Tariq Skubal because I think if you've watched him recently, he hasn't been completely bulletproof. We've seen him on a lot of Sunday night baseballs. We've seen him in a lot of primetime spots, whether it was against the Twins, the Phillies, the Rangers. There was a pretty interesting one. He's routinely been ridiculous. And he comes off of a 10 strikeout outing, no earned runs against Houston. But previous to that, ran into some troubles, no strikeouts against my Twins in Minnesota, which was the weirdest start. Talked about that one ad nauseum, where I thought there was like 12, 14 strikeout potential there. Now, you had the Angels, you had the Tigers against the Phillies there. That Sunday night baseball when I was talking about 10 strikeouts, 3 earned there. Christopher Sanchez outdueled him. But my thing is that I think we're going to get some prices in a ballpark that if Tariq Skubal isn't completely on, he's still 50th percentile, dead middle of the road in baseball in barrel. Accidentally hit mute. 8.2% barrel percentage is dead middle of the road. Now, what has actually happened in regards to that? Well, you look at his home runs. Last season, he had 15 home runs allowed, 0.92 whip. This year, 0.87 whip, which is just a ridiculous number. Number 1 in baseball by a mile, but 13 home runs. That's in 605 batters faced. Last year, 753. So just kind of ratioing him there, he's definitely the favorite. Definitely should be the favorite to go out and get another AL Cy Young, but solo shots count the same as 3-run homers. So while 3-run homers are not really in the repertoire for what Skubal is going to give up, I like the idea of taking some shots, specifically on the guy who has the most home runs since the All-Star break in Shea Langoliers. But that's not all, friends. Loft is a thing, and Kerry Carpenter brings it, even though JT Ginn on the other side doesn't. 7.3 degree. I definitely want to zig-a-zag and fire up Kerry Carpenter home run, Shea Langoliers home run, break even on Kerry Carpenter plus 245, Shea Langoliers plus 295, and I expect both of those to be playable tomorrow, so put those in the league light category. But this is a game I might end up on more of the athletics pieces than the Detroit pieces, which I do not say in jest. It is a great ballpark. Very difficult ballpark for Tariq Skubal relative to what he's got in Detroit. Let's get the heck out of here. One more time, feel like Lindy, join Tails today. Jump onto the video description box below. Let's get the heck out of here. And that does it for another edition of MLB Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Head to the comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays that exist on the board for this one. Let's get out of here. Until next time, friends, let's have a great week. Let's keep it rocking. I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the MLB streets on Monday. Bye.